Hey guys, Mr. Farmer here. Today we're going over Chapter 18. Chapter 18, that's all about text. Before we get started, I want to follow up on a previous video really quickly. It was towards the end of one of my last videos. I was talking about some tools called Union, and I could not get it to work. Well, I figured out what the problem was. You can do Union and Subtract, but before you do that, you have to set it as a region. So I'm going to type the command region, right? I'm going to select both of these objects, hit enter, and now they're a region. So I can do two things. I can use the union command, right? And I can join these two things together so that they're one object, right? Or I can use the subtract command. This one's a little more persnickety. Subtract, enter, and it will subtract the second object from the first, right? But before you use those tools, you have to set them as a region. I just wanted to follow up on that and make sure everybody was clear. So, Chapter 18, Text. Objectives. Our objectives are to create lines of text using the text tool, create and format paragraph text using the mtext tool, use the text editor tab, be able to create text styles with the style command, use text edit, multi-text edit properties, be able to use the spell check function, the find and replace function, be able to create and update text fields, and then be able to create tables that contain text fields and calculations. I don't know that we'll get to the tables, but we'll see how far we get. Okay, so let's start with some definitions. The text and mtext or multi-text commands provide you with a means of creating text in an AutoCAD drawing. Text usually refers to sentences, words, or notes created from alphabetical or numerical characters that appear in the drawing, right? So there's two ways you can do this. The most basic one is the, text command. Text command. I can place my start point and then I can specify a text height. I'll make this 1/2 inch, right? You can also specify a rotation angle if you want to rotate your text. We'll just leave it at 0. And then I can type my text, right? Notice that this is one single line because I used the text tool, right? I can hit enter and make another line. But notice that this is just one line of text. When I'm done, it's treated as two separate objects, right? Two separate objects because there's one line of text for each text command, right? As opposed to mtext, which is multiple text, and this is more like inserting a text box, right? So I can draw a box here, and then I can type multiple lines of text, and the text will wrap within the text box, and so on and so forth, right? That is mtext command. And notice with mtext command, you have access to different tools up here, right? So I can change my alignment, my justification. I can use columns. I can put bullet points in there if I wanted to make a list, right? I can change the spacing. Pretty much anything you can do in a Word document, you can do using the mtext command, multi-text command. And we'll go back to that here in just a minute. Yes, I want to save changes, right? But just notice that the text command is just a very basic one line of text. Okay. Like I said, a line of text or a paragraph is treated as one object. Just like if you draw a circle or a square, it's treated as one object. The text is treated just the same. There is a spell checker. If I type spell, right, I can select a text box. Let's see if we can get this to work. Let's purposefully misspell a word. Let's see, high school. There we go. Let's see if we can get this thing to work. Spell, start. Okay, see it highlighted. It said, hey, dummy, that's not how you spell school. That is the spell check function, spell, right? Just type spell to use the spell check function. Hopefully you don't misspell the word spell. Okay, as opposed to text, mtext is the more sophisticated method of text entry, you've got access to more tools. Let's talk about styles. Real quick note. You can use any Windows standard TrueType font. There's two types of fonts that you can use in AutoCAD. They are, I'll just type them out for you since we're talking about text, right? Whoa, text. We'll put it right here. We'll say this is 1 inch, 0 rotation. There's two types of fonts you can use. They are .ttf. You can use that, or you can use .shx fonts. Those are the two types of fonts you can use within AutoCAD, right? Okay, style. If I use the style function, style, I can set different styles for my text. So let's say I wanted to use, I don't know, Calibri, right? Bold, italic, and then you can set your width factor. You could put it upside down and backwards if you wanted, whatever you want to do, and you can save this as a new, right? I'm going to save this as weird font. Okay, good. And then I can set that as the current. So when I type now, check it out. See what it does? It updates and modifies the text that I've already placed in here. Pretty crazy. Style. Let's see. And you should be able to notice when you edit it, it will bring it back to the way it was. And then you can use that style function to edit your text. Click. And then you can use style to edit that, right? Okay. You can also use properties. Remember the properties function? I can use properties, so I could select this text over here and change like the color. I could change the line type, the layer that it's on, the way it's justified, right? I could change all of these things by using the properties menu. So there's multiple ways to change these properties. Sorry about that. You can use the text edit function, you can use the style function, or you can use the properties command, right? There's all kinds of commands you can do here. Style, we talked about spell check. There's also the find command. You've probably used this in a Word document or a PDF document, like if you're searching for a certain word. So I could find the word within, right? And I could even, if I wanted to, I could replace that with something else, like without, right? So I can find, it finds that word, and I could replace it. So that is the find and replace function. Text edit allows you to edit text objects. We talked about that. Let's see here. Scale text. Scale text. If you use the scale text command, it allows you to change the size of text without changing the actual insertion point, right? Let's see here. So I can change the way it's aligned, right? I can change the size. So for example, if I wanted to change the scale factor, I could put, I don't know, 4, and it would scale it up for me. That is the other way to edit scale text, right? There's also Q text, which changes the appearance of text to speed up the regenerations or the plot. Okay, we talked about text, the text command. I think we talked about justification, so let me do another one. Text. Actually, let me do a text, multi-text, right? We'll put it here, and this is my text, right? I can, if I double-click this, notice I get all my properties right here. You can also justify, right? So if I go to style, I'm sorry. It's too early in the morning here. Text edit. There we go. That's what I wanted. That's the other command. I think I've covered this already, but you can justify this left, right, center, whatever you want to do there. Okay? All right. That's justification. We talked about the style option. We talked about multi-line text. Has more editing options than just the text option. So if you're writing something that's going to have a lot of content, make sure you use that M text or multi-line text option. Let's see here. Notice when you do M text, you can specify the size of the box that it's going to be in, right? I can make my box narrow or wide, but if I use the text option, all I specify is the bottom left-hand corner of where the text is going to start, and then the height. So we'll leave that as 1, and then let's say I want to write it at a 30-degree angle, right? This is my other text. So it puts it at an angle there, which is pretty cool. Okay. Let's keep going. Talked about justification. Paragraph. So let's do the in-text option, and let's write some kind of a, this is a paragraph, right? This is another line in the paragraph. So right here, this is your paragraph toolbar, and like I mentioned earlier, you've got justification, bullets, numbering, line spacing, columns, symbols. We'll get into symbols here in just a second. You've got all of that good stuff there. That's the paragraph tool. Bullets. Let's talk about the space trans function. The space trans command is used to convert a distance in one space to the equivalent distance in another space. That sounds a little confusing, right? It's helpful for creating non-annotative text objects in a model, specifically in a viewport, that print at a specific size in the paper space. So this is where if you've got a layout and you want your text to fit in a certain size on that drawing, and you want it to be scaled to the appropriate size, use the space trans command. Okay. Combining single and multiple line text elements, we can do that. So this is multi-text, M-text. Let's say I've got text here. Good. Oh dear, that's very large. Text. We'll start it here. Let's say the height is 1/4 inch. This is the other text that I will to combine. Very good. Let's change the style here. Style. Let's use standard. Doo-doo. Regular. .5. This is the other text I will combine with. Very good. So we'll delete that. So there's this weird command. How are we doing on time? We're doing okay. All right. There's this weird command called text to mtext, right? Good. What does this do? It converts text objects to mtext objects, or combines multiple text and mtext objects into one mtext. So I've got this guy, and I've got this guy up here. So I could select that, and then select that, hit enter, and it puts them together. Now they're both in this one mtext box, right? You can see where that would be handy if you needed to. We've talked about the style command. Just to give you a definition for the style command, it gives you options for creating and modifying text styles that are accessible from this device. Good. Okay. Hey, I don't know if you caught this or not, but in the style function, right here it says height. The height of your font is 0. That's odd, right? Height can't be 0 because then there would be no text. So what does that actually mean? Well, you can hover to discover here, and it will tell you what that means, right? Ooh, sorry about that. The height should be 0 if you plan to be prompted again for the height each time the text command is used. In this way, the height is a variable each time you use it, right? So if this is set to 0 here, height 0, and then I use the text function, notice it asks me right there for the height. So I can set the height to 1 inch, right? This is 1 inch height text. Good, right? But if I go to style and I set this to something else, like, I don't know, 0.75, and I apply that, right? What's going to happen now is when I invoke text, it's going to ask me for the start point and the rotation angle, but it doesn't ask me for the height any longer because that's already specified. This is automatically 0.75 inch text, right? Does that make sense? So you want to have this set to 0 most of the time. 0. Set current. Okay, good. Let's see here. By the way, the .sshx fonts, those are created specifically for AutoCAD drawings by Autodesk. That's a good thing to know. Okay, annotative text. What is annotative text? Annotative objects such as annotative text, annotative dimensions, and annotative hatch patterns automatically adjust for size when the annotation scale for each viewport is changed. So if I do, let's say I've got some M-text here. I'm going to draw it out. Looks good. This is M-text in a paragraph, right? That is set to 0.75, right? 0.75 text height. If I make this annotative text, see how that's selected now? That means that this is going to automatically adjust based on the scale of my drawing. I don't have to adjust it again. It's already set. Okay, you can specify a different text editor to use instead of the internal text editor tab. For example, if you prefer Windows Notepad or Microsoft Word or something like that, you can use those things. You can set them to the text editor tab. The book tells you how to do that if you're interested in it. Special characters. We've got to get to this because you guys are engineers, right? And you're going to use lots of special characters. So let's do an M-text box again. Good. And zoom out a little bit. So let's say only 50% of students watch this video, right? Only 50% of students watch this, right? Looks good. Well, that looks a little wonky, right? Because you don't usually write the word %, right? But there's no real way to fix this except if you use the symbol function. So notice you've got symbols up here that you can select from in your M-text, which is really handy. So I could do, let's see here, where's percentage? Percentage. I don't know. I'm probably missing it. Okay. So what happens if we'll watch this. What happens if you're in text, right, and you don't have access to all these tools? Well, then you have to use these special commands, symbol commands, right? So for example, percentage, I'm sorry, I've been saying %. Let's use another example here. Now I know why I didn't see that. Let's say it is 30 degrees outside, because it is rather cold right now. It is 30 degrees outside. Well, we don't want to write the word degrees, right? So we got two options. We can go up here to symbols and change that to degrees, like that. Or you can use these little codes that are provided to you. So for example, for degrees, I would say percentage D. And that changes it to the degree symbol, right? Or let's say we have a circle right here, and we want to say that this is a 4-inch diameter, right? 4-inch diameter. Well, I don't want to spell out the word diameter here, so I can change that using the symbol characters. Let's say percentage C. Well, there's the diameter symbol. So that's how you use your special symbols, right? Let's see here. Remember, the simplest method to edit something is usually to double-click on it. But in order to do that, make sure you've got your double-click edit function selected. We talked about text edit. We talked about spell check. We talked about the find function. I think that's almost it. Oh, quick text. Quick text allows you to display a line of text as a box in order to speed up the drawing and plotting time. So let's say you have a ton of text on here, and it takes a long time to render or to go into your layout. I can go to Quick Text and select that as on, right? And then it just shows these as boxes until I actually plot them, and then the text will show up. So I'm going to turn that back off. Now it's off. Now my text is back there. Very good. There's a text fill system. It controls the display of the fonts for printing and plotting only. There's also text fields. Text fields is a string of text that is variable and displays information based on current data. So we do need to talk about that real quick. I know this video is going kind of long. Sorry, guys. Let's say I wanted to put the date on my drawing, but I want the date to automatically update. I don't want to have to change it every time I open this. So I can do a text field, right? So field, and it gives you all of these options here. Let's say, I don't know, current date. And you can choose the format that you want, maybe like that. Hit OK, specify start point, and it's right there. Okay. You can also do file name, current sheet title, login, author, keywords, subject, the author. There's all kinds of stuff there. You could do, let's go date here. See how it automatically inserts the date for you, and that will change without you having to worry about it. So yeah, that's a field function. Very handy. Table edit, an easy alternative to using table edit. You can simply double click using the double click function. If you have a table, that's like a spreadsheet where there's multiple cells, and we'll get into those later. So that is text. I know that's a lot of material. Once again, I recommend you read the book, read chapter 18, kind of skim through it in class if you have time, and that'll help you out with the quiz. If you have questions, feel free to email me, and as always, thanks for watching, guys. Oh, by the way, this chapter is all about text, right? Make sure you don't do this while you're driving. Don't text and drive.